Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to Chronically Fabulous with Emily. So this week we are going to be talking about teenage disability and cosplay, because anybody who's close to me knows that I am a bit of a closeted nerd. So, if you don't know what cosplay is costume play. So basically what you do is you dress up as your favorite character or the character's design that you like from a TV show, a game, a comic, any sort of thing. So you get to dress up, but sometimes that's a little bit harder when you've got a disability. So here's my take on things. One of my biggest takes... English is my first language, but I can't seem to speak it very well. Also, if I sound a little bit funny, it's because I'm sick. One of my biggest tips is find a character that you can relate to. For myself, I used to be very, very heavily into Homestuck. And one of the characters that I would play, or well, cosplay as very, very frequently was Tavros. Anybody who doesn't know him, he's a little troll who was shoved off a cliff and was paralyzed from the waist down and continuously in a wheelchair. And where I am not paralyzed from the waist down, but I'm in a wheelchair often enough, it was nice to have a character that was like had an issue. And also because I'm like 99% of the time at cons I'm in a wheelchair, it was very helpful because my cosplay could play into my character. And you know, cosplay is way more to me than just dressing up as a character or enjoying a fandom. I can't really do very much anymore. I used to be very heavily into sports like soccer and football and ultimate frisbee, but I can't do that anymore because if I throw something, my shoulder comes out and it's just a hassle. But because I can't do stuff like that anymore, I had to find a more quiet, composed hobby, and for me that was cosplay. And actually right now I'm recording in a different place because I'm very tired and have a lot less energy than I wish I had right now because I'm very sick. But I'm very low energy, so I'm actually in my living room, and I'm actually recording on top of my sewing machine box. But yeah, so cosplay to me is more of a creative outlet than it is like an acting outlet. I don't know how to explain it actually now that I think about it. But I use it to make props, I use it to put on makeup because I just generally don't wear makeup. I use it to meet friends because God knows it's very hard for me to socialize. Yeah, no, cosplay is like a really big thing to me, and unfortunately I haven't been able to do it very much recently. Like in the past year I've cosplayed a lot less than I used to. What are you doing? Sorry, the cat is right next to me. Would you like to say hi to her? Come here, Misa. Mom almost called you Missy because you're not my cat. Yeah, this is my brother's cat. Say hi, Misa. Anyway. Yeah, no. Another tip with cosplay, especially in like my situation, if you have a disability and you can like use your disability to an advantage for your cosplay, like I do with my wheelchair. If your character is also in a wheelchair or has some kind of disability, do a ship that a lot of people ship. Like for me and my partner of a year and like 8 months now, anybody who knows the Homestuck fandom, we cosplayed Tavros and Vriska together, and he would use me as a little bit of a battering ram to get through the crowds at Comic-Con. But it's very nice to be able to have that support of a partner or even a friend who's going to do a couple cosplay with you. Because people have this weird misconception that couple cosplays are you need to be a couple to do a couple cosplay. I don't know, man. So many like stereotypes around cosplay too. Apparently like with cosplay you're either going to be like nerd sitting in a basement, like smells bad, doesn't take a shower very often, or you're going to be like huge titty, tiny waist, like really good at sewing cosplayer, and there's like no in between. But 99% of cosplayers that I know are the in-between. Excuse me. Yeah, no. I've been cosplaying for probably about 3 years now? Something like that. My first con was Comic-Con, actually. And I made the mistake because at that point I was in like grade 9. It was really early on in my like having been diagnosed process, and I hadn't like fully adjusted to it yet. So I didn't realize It wasn't that I didn't realize I needed a wheelchair. It was, I feel really bad saying this, but at the time, because I was only like 14 at the time, I felt very ashamed of needing to use a wheelchair, so I avoided it at all costs. I don't know. It's one of those crazy things where it's so stupid when you look back on it, but at the time it made so much sense. But yeah, I went for the Saturday of the convention, and anybody who's ever been to a convention knows that Saturdays are like the busiest day. Tea break. But I went for the Saturday of the con and was walking around for probably about 8 hours straight. And then when I got home, needless to say, I felt like I was dying. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, I have Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, which basically means that my joints dislocate themselves or like partially dislocate just on their own. And it sucks because you can't walk around that much, and when you're at a convention, walking around is everything. Be it like going to a meetup or walking around Artist Alley or even like standing in line to get lunch. It's like a feat. You know, and that's again when having a partner comes in handy. What's another thing I want to mention? Oh yeah, I don't know if it's like this for other cons, but in Toronto, anything that's run by Toronto Comic Con, if you have a disability, you can actually get a courtesy entry ticket. I didn't know that until like last year. I happened to look up online because I wanted to like know timing and stuff like that, and I saw a little disability, like the little wheelchair thing, like the stereotypical disability symbol. And it was like, oh, if you have a disability, come to like such an area and we'll give you a courtesy pass for your caregiver or your partner or your friend or whoever's accommodating you. And they do that so like they know that you're safe. The person with you is supposed to know about your disability and know how to take care of you if something happens. And also for the comfort factor, because it's very scary to be alone in a con when you know that something could go wrong very quickly. Yeah, it's a brilliant system, and so long as you buy your own pass, the person you're bringing in gets a free pass. And it's a very, very good policy, because for someone in my situation, even if my brother or my boyfriend can't come, I can bring my mom, and like, my mom's a nerd, I'm like 3rd generation nerd, so she enjoys it. But it's such a helpful thing, especially when like you have a friend who really wants to come but also really wants to like be there with you, but they can't really afford it, because I have a lot of like friends with monetary restrictions. And don't care. You do you, whatever works for you. Been there, done that, I get it. But unfortunately, a lot of them like aren't able to go, and having someone who can give them a courtesy ticket so long as they stick with them is very helpful. But yeah, no. Aside from that, cosplay is a very good outlet. It's a great artistic thing. It's a lot of fun to like meet other people. And it's just good all around, so long as it's done in a healthy way. I can't stress that enough. There are some people who push cosplay to like its limit, where they think that one person's cosplay is not good enough because they bought it, or they like didn't sew it properly, or they don't like really truly appreciate this fandom. It's elitist. That is the perfect word for it. There's a lot of like cosplay elitism. Which is very annoying, because especially if you've spent like months working on your cosplay, like on and off, like putting a lot of work into it, and someone who doesn't even know you or why you're cosplaying it decides to say, oh, that sucks. It's just like, bitch, I worked very hard on this. Go fuck yourself. Especially for us, because like working on it is a feat. Like, I sit in my room and I try to like cut things very, very delicately while my hands are shaking and my joints are trying really hard to like not dislocate. But no, it's fun. Anyway, if you have cosplay stories or any kind of disability related convention stories, you can leave them in the comments down below. I love like reading the comments. Also, to anybody who's been like coming up to me at school, it's really cool to hear that people are watching these videos. Yeah. Anyways, thanks. It's Emily from Chronically Fabulous, and I'll see you next week. Have a good night.